Late nights, early mornings, he stays on the grind. Looking past the rate sheet for the value you'll find. He listens, he hustles, he speaks with intent. Every situation means more than the dark.
Hello and good morning and welcome to What's Up with Real Estate. And hey, you got to stay in tune with us until we get to this week's pun segment for the pun that was in our intro. And hey, did the market blink? Jobs came in hot, inflation came in cool, and well, mortgage rates are suddenly flirting with 6% again. And last week, markets rejected the BLS reports, and we wonder why. We've been talking about it all year long about the credibility of the BLS report, especially after the revisions that you saw in 2025, where the actual jobs created during the year were well below any of the reports. And so the net result, Treasury yields dropped, mortgage rates dropped, all this and more. News you can use for February 20th, 2024. I'm your host, Mortgage Mac. That's first name Mortgage, last name Mac. And you know what? We believe in building relationships with buyers and their real estate agents to help everyone win, along with my co-host, ChatGPT Soul 5.2, who's never late, never cancels, always on time, unlike many other folks I know. ChatGPT, say hi.
Well, good morning, Mac, and good morning, everyone. I'm here to bring some sharp insights and maybe a laugh or two. So let's dive into that market roller coaster. And don't worry, I'll keep an eye on Houston while you guide us nationally. Ready when you are?
Yeah, talking point number one. According to Bureau of Labor Statistics, the who, the what, the where, the how. And hey, headline CPI dropped to 2.4% year over year from 2.7. That actually is a drop, folks. And core CPI inflation, excluding food and energy, dropped to 2.5 year over year from 2.7, lowest core reading since March 2021. Markets reacted immediately. The 10-year Treasury fell from 4.18 to 4.05. The average mortgage rates, we're going to talk about that, and we're going to talk about in a different segment. So let's create some definitions here so that it's clear that exactly what CPI is. ChatGPT, can you help us with that? And was there another clear? Let's talk about the difference between headline and core CPI, please.
Absolutely. CPI, or Consumer Price Index, measures the average change in prices over time for goods and services. Headline CPI includes everything. Think food, energy, the whole basket. Core CPI, that's headline CPI minus the volatile bits, food and energy, so we can see underlying trends. Now, speaking of energy, how's Houston reacting with oil prices stabilizing, Mac?
You know, I believe that the Houston market is experiencing some latency as far as home sales are concerned. I'm not quite sure I'm an expert on the oil and gas market, but I do know that I completed last year who was given sort of a package in the oil and gas industry. So don't know how widespread that is, but I know that we experienced a large layoff in 2025 in the oil and gas sector. Do you recall who that was? Was that ExxonMobil?
Yes, ExxonMobil was one of the big ones trimming staff in 2025, and those shifts do ripple into housing demand. But with rates flirting with six, I'd guess your Houston buyers are watching that more than oil barrels, right?
Yeah, I guess we should be grateful that prices aren't, or at least are beginning to moderate. They're still increasing, albeit not as much. And so, with that said, we're going to move on to segment number two. And hey, pending home sales problems. Mortgage rates are near 6%. So why are pending home sales at an all-time low? According to the National Association of Realtors, pending home sales fell 0.8% month over month in January. December dropped 7.4 month over month. Index now at 70.9, the lowest ever recorded. And ChatGPT, what is the PHSI? Can you explain that to us, please?
Absolutely. The PHSI, or Pending Home Sales Index, measures how many homes are under contract but not yet closed. Basically, future sales in the pipeline. Now, Mac, with rates around 6%, what are your Houston clients telling you about their hesitation to sign contracts right now?
You know, I believe that there is definable hesitation. I believe that we're all experience it. Hey, I have a friend that's been in the inspection business for not as long as I've been in the mortgage business, but a long, long time. And he called me yesterday and just said, hey, are you experiencing what I believe I'm experiencing? And to the answer to that question is yes. And I believe that the reason that we are seeing pending home sales drop are directly connected to the current economic policies specific to some of the chaos that's going on in geopolitical framework in the world as well as domestically. People borrow money for one reason and one reason only. They believe their future is going to be better than the present. And I just don't see that sentiment in the folks that I'm reacting with on a daily basis. And I see people that are buying homes because they have to, but I'm not seeing people that are buying homes because they want to and or are buying a dream home and versus selling another home. I believe that inventory is increasing, but clearly the demand is regressing. What do you believe, chap?
I think you've nailed it. Confidence is key, and right now, folks might be waiting for a clearer signal. But hey, when that sentiment shifts, Houston might be first in line. After all, we know how to move fast when we have to.
Yeah, Houston's positioned to be it's just a dynamic market. Has been for many many years. People move here for jobs. They move here for climate. They move here. Well, at least they used to. Now, I've actually had people move out recently because of the heat connected to our summer. But those were people that had moved during COVID and had never been in our type of climate before, and they really truly found it to be more than they could handle. So, why don't you give us just sort of a recap on this topic specific to the Houston metropolitan statistical area, please?
In Houston's metro area, we've seen steady job growth and a resilient housing market. But the heat is real, literally. While some folks are adjusting, Houston's affordability still keeps us attractive when rates and confidence align. So once people feel that stability, Houston will be ready to welcome them back.
Yeah, rates improve, but buyers are still swiping left. Moving on to today's message from Rate.
Looking to purchase a new home? The Rate app from Guaranteed Rate has got you covered. Once you've downloaded the Rate app, click to log in and create your password. This will take you to the intro page. Click the gray Same Day or Home Loans tile, and then click the red Apply Now button. Then click Start a New Loan. Begin by telling us where you are in the home buying process. Typically, for a pre-approval, you will click What Can I Afford? From there, the Rate app will load a series of simple questions. Answer each one the best you can as you move along. Once you've completed the application, your loan officer will receive a notification so they can review your information and set up your personalized checklist. The Rate app even allows you to upload documents right from your phone. It's just that easy. And if you do get stuck or have any questions, just give us a call. We'll be sure to get your questions answered so we can get you one step closer to owning the home of your dreams. The Rate app from Guaranteed Rate, simplifying life's biggest purchase.
Speaking of smart financial moves, whether you're buying, refinancing, or just exploring options, the Rate mobile app is second to none. And hey, I believe I work for the best mortgage company on the planet, and we have the best mobile application on the planet. So moving on to talking point number 3. So bonds, jobs, and, well, market skepticism. The market didn't buy the jobs report. I haven't bought the jobs report since the spring of last year. And last week's BLS jobs reported show 130,000 plus jobs stronger, twice what Wall Street was expecting. But it's a revision to 2025 raised eyebrows. It's caught on. We just kept questioning the validity of the BLS report versus the ADP report. And we believed and have believed then and believe now that the private sector in this moment is probably a more accurate barometer than what's coming out of Washington, D.C. And so with that said, CPI came in at 2.5. I believe we mentioned that. It's the lowest it's been. And so are markets losing confidence in the data reporting? We talked about this last week. We've lost confidence in the dating reporting. Do you think there's any validity to that?
Well, skepticism is in the air. Markets crave reliability. When revisions hit hard, investors hesitate. But for borrowers, what matters is rates. So, Mac, when clients see these headlines, how do you steer them toward the bigger picture, like Houston housing opportunities right now?
Yeah, rates are down to that 6% range. We have loans locked in at below the 6%. Just depends upon the variables connected to your transaction. So, and we are going to spend the rest of today doing refinance reports for our past clients. And and we're grateful and thankful for the activity, but at the same time, the market has been challenging, and we believe had we had accurate reporting in the BLS data, we would have seen these reports or seen rates go down much sooner than they are currently. And we also believe that had Liberation Day not been an issue for much of 2025, that we would have seen rates go down much sooner. So with that said, we're going to move on to talking point, or actually today's mortgage tip. And your credit score might be costing you more than mortgage rates. Your credit health plays a big role in buying a home in Houston, Sugar Land, the Woodlands. Doesn't matter. And so simple strategies are this: keep utilization under 30%. Don't close old accounts. Please, please, please pay on time. Avoid new inquiries before closing, which I've seen several of those recently. And look, if you're going to dispute something on it, make sure it's truly an error. Disputing a late payment that was truly a late payment is not a battle we're going to win. So just best to just try to compensate in a different area versus disputing an actual event on your credit report that is being reported accurately. And in Houston's price range, even 20-point score can shift the loan pricing noticeably in a negative way. So credit score is one of the best tools to optimize your opportunity when buying a home. And before you shop for a home, shop your credit file. With yours truly, go to mortgagemac.com, apply on my website. We'll connect with you. We'll do a soft credit report, so don't worry about any of the hard reports, and then we'll reach out, visit with you, and do a credit profile and help you build a plan to be successful as a homeowner. All right, so moving on to Stoic Quote. We're at 12 minutes. We're trying to keep the show under 15 and sort of like speed dating. Maybe you could just show up, hang out with us for 10 minutes and be gone. And so now we're going to step back and try to absorb some wisdom in what I see as a world that is lacking a great deal of it. And I know from personal experience, I wasn't always acting wisely in life, but I think later in life is truly the critical platform by which I try to operate my business and my personal life. And so choose not to be harmed and you won't feel harmed. I'm like, wow. It took me a long time to figure that out. But we used to say it all the time, right? And when we were kids on the playground, sticks and stones may break my bones, but names can never hurt me. And that's what resonates with me is that, look, I dealing with the public, look, worse, but there are challenges, right? And, we try not to let the things that are not objectively real impact the way that we think of ourselves. And certainly we can't control every single outcome. And so if you're acting emotionally to headlines or strategically to the numbers, and we try to operate from an objective standpoint, and we encourage our clients and our real estate agents and the folks that we meet in our life to operate on that same level. Moving to fun with puns, because, hey, the brain needs a break. And no charts, no data, just some good old-fashioned, maybe funny, I don't know. You tell me. Megahertz, when a piano drops on your toe. Soul, did I forget about you?
You nailed it. No toe left unturned. And hey, if anyone out there has a pun that can top that, drop it in the comments.
Drop it in the comments, right? Literature. You go, Soul. Go, Soul.
Literature? That's just books scattered on the highway. Hopefully they don't cause any plot twists in traffic.
Yeah. So, hey, we're going to bring on this. Let's do these others, and then we'll bring on a video. We did a really hilarious video. And if you don't follow us on TikTok, go to @MortgageMac at TikTok and check out some of our puns. I think we had one that's approaching 65,000 views currently, which we're sort of proud of that. And yes, we do our puns and our artwork with AI. And so the next one is avoidable is what a bullfighter tries to do. And I think we have one more before a video. So why'd the astronaut skip dinner?
Why? Because if they miss the moon, they just skip.
He had a late launch.
Of course he did. After all, he was just over the moon with his timing.
All right, let's take this one out.
Thanks for joining us today. If you found
No,
value,
wait till Pokemon. Jamaican proctologist?
I think that one might catch everyone a bit off guard. But hey, that's what makes it a pun worth examining.
Caught me off guard for sure. All right, closing it out. We're at 15 minutes today, and thanks for joining us for this week's episode of What's Up with Real Estate. Thank you to our sponsors, Rate and List Reports. And please subscribe, follow, and share the episode. And join us here every Saturday morning, 10 a.m., YouTube, LinkedIn, just for some fun, and get some clarity on what's going on in the local real estate market specific to rates and maybe even specific to real estate data that you might not get anywhere else. And remember, knowledge is the key to making the best decisions for you and your clients. Join us here every Saturday right here. And until next time, stay informed, stay engaged, and I'll see you at closing.
And I'll be here too.